Joe Budden and Queensflip get in a super heated off-camera argument about Immani getting suspended.
I do not believe that he handled you like you were a protected species.
That's not true.
That led up, that had build up. That built up, stop, chill, built up again, stop, chill. I would have gone about it differently. That was his space, his room.
We talked to him, told him how important Immani was. We pulled it outside. Yo, stop.
Under no circumstances can that happen.
That's right, Sean. The last Patreon, it was revealed that Queensflip and Joe Budden got into a super heated off-camera argument where Joe Budden took issue for how Queensflip put Immani in a bad spot. Now, this is all linked to the fateful day where Immani would enter in the room, and he would make a decision that would set him back in the eyes of the public when he would punch back Woody. Now, this is something I've been saying on my channel for quite some time, and a lot of the commenters have been saying, Danny, I'm hating on Flip, blah, blah, blah. But it seems like someone agrees with me about Flip putting Immani in a bad spot, and that someone is Joe Budden himself. Well, apparently off camera, behind the scenes, and they recorded this, but they decided not to release it, Joe Budden talked to Queensflip and told him, you put Immani in a bad spot.
Who started screaming?
You did.
I did start screaming?
You did.
Flip did.
Because you took offense to the whole you put him in a bad spot, and that turned you up right away.
Yeah.
And he was like,
I said, why would you think? No, I asked him, why would you think I'd do that to a guy I fuck with?
And then Queensflip fired back by saying, yo, you always highlight my lows, but never my highs. And apparently this set Joe Budden off, as he likely felt Queensflip was not addressing the real root of the issue, and Joe would have a cigarette in his hand and throw it on the ground and all of this other stuff. Now, during this episode, Immani, Ish, Ice, and Melissa Ford was present, and don't think for a moment I didn't notice how Melissa Ford was quiet, because I think if she spoke, it could have really got turned up. And Immani said that Joe Budden actually called him and told him to sit down, and he even said that he was going to sit down anyway. Well, I would caution Immani to remember that this formal sit down is a sign of, hey, if you do this again, things can go really bad and you might be kicked off the show, because it seems like you can't handle the fame that comes with this type of platform. Now, if we zoom out, we are seeing that Queensflip is really annoying the hell out of Joe Budden, and he's such a bad faith arguer that he didn't even try to listen to what Joe was saying, and instead mentioned how he had a battle rap something and some women got hot off of his platform, and he was mad that Joe Budden didn't highlight it. And at the end of the day, Queensflip is a super hard-headed dude, and I think he doesn't have the comprehension of certain aspects of life to understand why Joe Budden might have an issue, which is why I think he's also a great content creator, because he just doesn't understand stuff. Lack of comprehension skills can actually help you in a lot of aspects of life. Don't we know that person who is super smart, super thoughtful, but because they comprehend too well, they don't execute certain plans? That's not Queensflip. Because he doesn't think about things in a great fashion, that's exactly why he's been so successful in media. He doesn't give much thought. Now, moving forward, I would caution Immani to ever do anything with Queensflip, because like Joe Budden was trying to lay out, Queensflip is incapable of thinking of the bigger picture. Joe was trying to tell him, yo, you saw the situation bubbling and bubbling and bubbling. There was an immense amount of variables that were getting out of control, and you did not control that situation. And Joe even said that he told Immani, don't do in the room. Don't do it. Please. And another thing I noticed is Joe was trying his best not to say back Woody's name. Y'all gonna say, oh, that's not a big deal, but it is a big deal. But the people who do the science in the comments will know why that's a big deal. Joe does not want anyone from Flip the Network to get clout off of his platform. Joe knows the value of mentioning people on his platform. He feels they have to earn it. And right now, nobody from Flip the Network, that lowbrow piece of entertainment, should ever be mentioned on the show. It's kind of interesting when you think about the type of things Joe has said about folks like Rory and Mal, how they disrespected the platform, how they didn't, treat things with the respect that he envisioned when he established the broadcast and made it something more than a podcast, made it damn near a TV show. But yet, Flip is a habitual line stepper. And I know on my platform, there's a lot of people who watch my videos who feel like it's getting personal, blah, blah, blah. But I caution you, just watch Joe. Joe is the one that has an issue. I did that video yesterday. There was tons of commenters saying, Danny, it's getting personal with you and Flip. You are saying that it's Flip's fault for what happened to Emanny. And then the next Patreon episode, Joe sounds exactly like what I said. And it's not because we're the two same type of... It's because it's just so obvious to me. You cannot put someone in a position like that. If you know Emanny's hot-headed, if you know Emanny likes to fight, if you know Emanny can't control his emotions, why do you even consider to put him in the room? Oh, wait. Because you care ultimately about yourself much more than you will ever care about the Joe Budden podcast and anyone else. That did great numbers for you, but it made Joe Budden, his podcast, look like a complete clown show. He couldn't monetize that. Hell, he don't even like talking about it. There was a point in this conversation where he said, man, I don't even want it to look like I'm promoting this because then it reflects poorly on the platform. Now, I know, Joe doesn't exactly have the cleanest bill of record when it comes to content over everything. I mean, the man fired his peoples on air. He was just walking naked in the hallway on the Ring camera footage. But still, it's his podcast, and what he says goes. It's his talent. Emanny was his friend first, and Flip the opportunist saw an opportunity, and he took it. And as a result, he heard the Joe Budden platform in the eyes of its namesake. But let me know what you think. There's actually a good Patreon episode. They're getting back to it. A lot of people like the long pods. They like 3-hour, 4-hour pods. This was a nice and tight 2 hours. I love short content, man. It's not even that short. I just love the idea of when content isn't like 3 hours for the sake of being 3 hours. Don't waste my time. And I think over the last few weeks, especially before Mark Lamont Hill got there, the podcast was wasting our time. 4-hour pods, nobody was landing their points. It was just rambling. And this 2 hours, I feel, is a step in the right direction. But let me know what you think. All right, y'all. Follow me on Instagram. Make sure you tap in with Joe's Patreon. Tap in with my Patreon to stop. I just put up a clip of Rocky Thunder going off on someone from my community. And I also put a clip up of Ian Dunlop talking about him possibly joining the Joe Budden podcast. That link will be in the description. This is Danny from The Stop. Don't hit me, hit the like button. Peace.